Alright guys, I just wanted to give a quick heads up on something I've been working on and where that's been leading me to. Now, basically what's going on here is we've got a couple different things here. Now, I'm going to try and turn this in such a way so I can actually look at the camera, which is actually looking pretty hard. Like, no matter how I look at it, it looks like I'm looking way up. So I guess this is the only way to go. Okay, so here's the drill. Started working on a friend's van. I'm going to try and make this a series of fairly short videos as we do this restoration. And the reason that it's come to my attention that it's needed is they had a mechanic. The mechanic was going to do the job, put in a new battery. That's all he did. He gave them an estimate on repairing their wipers that was wholly ridiculous. Wanted thousands of dollars to fix their wiper system. They, smart as they are, got an instinct that they were being screwed and said right to the mechanic, look, we don't trust you, we want our friggin' truck back now. He pulled off the negative tab on the battery so they couldn't use it. So when they got the truck off the flatbed, it wouldn't start anymore, which it had been running perfectly before. That was one thing. So he sabotaged the battery he had just put in brand new because he was mad at them that they didn't want to get ripped off. Now that's a scumbag. So then I get into this system because I'm a friend of theirs and I heard all this and decided I'd help them with it. I was a Harley mechanic. I did my apprenticeship under Kevin Long out of Kamloops, BC. You can look me up. My name's Keith Daniel Robinson. And what I did was I decided to do a few things. And I took a look around to see if I could sort out the problem. It wasn't the fuse. Turned out the problem was the wiring harness itself. Now when I look at the truck in detail, I realize it's already been maintained. There's been a lot of work done. And the old owner gave up on this vehicle for a reason. So when I get into the vehicle, I right away realize what the reason is. A lot of the wiring harnesses are toast. A lot of times those are run through the firewall in a hole that's this bloody big with a harness that's this big. Okay? If you can see my fingers. So what ends up happening is you can't just pull that harness through the hole. You'd have to cut the frame, okay, to put that harness out. And then tack weld it back in and repaint it and all that. It ends up being a lot of labor for the mechanic. Now, in the mechanic's defense, here's how this breaks down. Let's say we got a $20 wiring harness that we know is the problem, but it's going to take 20 hours of work to remove it from the vehicle, or 10, at $100 an hour. Well, now you're talking $1,000 to remove a $20 piece. Because they know that if you tell them, that is, you tell the customer this, the customer's going to freak out. Instead, they tell them, oh, well, we're not sure what it is. Maybe it's this. And they replace that. That'll be the wiper motors. Then they say, well, that didn't do it. It must be the pulse board. And they'll replace that. In fact, that was what their mechanic had recommended, that they replace everything in the system except for the wiring harnesses. The problem is that's where the problem is happening. And if you put a new piece in, it'll work for a few days or a few weeks, but it won't be long before that wire jiggles loose again, and you got the exact same problem recurring. I've come across this problem on motorcycles many times with a ground wire. The ground wire's off. Bike won't run. Big shock. It happens due to vibration. It happens due to a lot of reasons. Now, inside a truck engine, you'd think there's not as much, but there's a lot of heat in there, and that really messes with the wiring harnesses. It melts the plastic, not really in a noticeable way, but it heats them up. And as anybody who's in the know will tell you, when something is heated up, it expands, whether it's metal, whether it's air, whatever it is. Anything we know of in nature, pretty much just about, you heat it, it expands, you cool it, it shrinks. Well, because there's so much heat in an engine bay, those wiring harnesses are expanding around the wires. The wires come loose, and now you got a problem. Anyway, long story short, we're almost on this version of the video, but I can't touch on every point that I want to make about this. A lot of it's about design, a lot of it's about the industry in general, and about how mechanics are treating these issues. What they should have done is explained honestly to the customer the problem and let them decide how to move forward, because those wiring harnesses are incredibly difficult to remove now from the vehicle. So what you need to do is go after it with a couple of things. Now, in the next video, I'm going to explain to you, now that you know what the problem is, how to diagnose it in an easy, quick fashion, and how to fix it cheap. Not $500, not $1,000, $5, $50 at the most. So, stay tuned. I'm going to show you the next video, and Keith out.